story is a living passion. I'm not crashing.
Hi, my name is Beanland and welcome to this week's painting demonstration. This week we're going to be taking a look at the idea of center of interest, of creating a center of interest and doing as much as possible in this simple little landscape to make the viewer focus on this section where we have a couple of buildings. I'd just like to take a second to introduce my colors, because for the first time I'm using a much different palette, and in fact I decided to just choose a lot of colors that I never use. These are paints I have sitting in my container that I just don't use very much. So I have here New Gamboge, I have Opera, a Holbein color, Brown Madder, Cerulean Blue, Phthalo Blue, Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, and Cad Yellow Light. Okay, in this painting I'm going to do it a little bit differently in that I'm going to start with the center of interest. And because I want a nice sort of organic flow to these bright colors that I'm going to use, I'm actually going to just mask off the bottom of this. I'm going to take my spray bottle and just do a little bit of spraying, gently spraying around this center of interest. And I'm going to start with my brightest color, some Opera. And I'm going to come into here. That's it. And then I want to right away, let's get my paper towel, I want to right away add some yellow to it, or my New Gamboge, just so that bright color kind of dissipates. And you can see where it's hitting some of the spray droplets, it's kind of flowing in its own way, and that's what I'm kind of looking for. So I want this center of interest. Clearly I want this to be a very important section. So I'm going to actually emphasize it a bit more. And now I'm just going to kind of move around some other areas. I just want to be careful around this building. So some other areas, a little bit over here. Now I'm going to come in and get some of my brown madder, and because I want to have along here and I've drawn some fence posts there, and I've already obliterated most of them, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. And over here a little bit more. In order to direct your attention more towards the center of interest, the middle, whenever I get towards the edges, I wanted to kind of play it down, mute it, neutralize it a bit. And in this case, I'm just taking pure water. Now, I really like this Opera color. I'm going to bump it up a little more, but I wanted to have it in some different places. I actually don't want anything to compete with that, so here I'll add a bit of yellow to it. Right up here into the hill. And these little bits of white, I'm going to try and preserve those as long as I can. So I just want to add some other bits of color here and there. And I want to come in Okay, now I'm going to start moving back from my center of interest to do this hill. Okay, I've dried it, not completely dry, but I hope enough that I can start coming in with some of this hill color, and there's a lot of green in it. But right here in this section, I actually want to see if I can preserve some of that nice first wash. Okay, and now I want to be very conscious of changing this color around, so I'm going to add some of my Cerulean and have this And over here, I think I'll try add a bit of ultramarine to that. In fact, what I'm going to do now is just take pure water, and this lowers the value, or it lightens it and kind of mutes it a little bit, which is great for off towards the edge. So I'll do the same thing over here, and all the time, you know, trying to reinforce my concept of the that this is a hill with trees on it. Okay, now I need to bring this, take some of my green with some ultramarine to get a darker. No, let's add a little of this brown matter. That's quite a bit darker value, and I'm going to come in a bit. And play with some of these shapes in here. Now reinforce those fence posts. And in fact, I'm going to bring this quite a bit down. Okay, and I want to emphasize this sort of reddish brown section along there with a bit of my brown matter. And for now, I'm just going to try and not have it touch so that I just don't lose all the definition right off the bat by having it touch this wet stuff above it. I'm also going to have a bit of puddling happening here, so I'm going to tilt my board. I'm just going to soften this edge a little bit so it doesn't look so cut out. Okay, and now what I want to do, since I'm working in this section and I've got it nice and wet, I'm going to come in and I'm going to mix up some a much darker value of the green. So I added some brown matter, a little bit of ultramarine blue, and some red, just to get a really dark mixture. It's not my darkest value, but it's a significant middle value. And I'm just going to come in here. Yeah, I'm not going to, these trees that are standing up, I don't want to do them now because then I'll have to paint around them to do this background. So I'm going to stay within this hill shape here and just get some nice dark values happening. Now what I want to do is go, while I'm sort of letting this set up, I want to go into the sky. So I'm just going to clean off my palette. I'm going to start with, this is really just tinted water. I have a bit of cerulean blue in it, but I'm using it not like a first wash, but I'm using it really just like water. But I can, because I have a little bit of color in it, I can see where I'm applying it. Whereas if I just use the water, I might not. And so I'm just going to wet the whole sky with this right over this hill. And I just want to take care. This mountain's going to be darker, so I'm not worried about it. But this one is going to be a white mountain. So I want to paint around that. And now I'll come in. I'll start with some of the same color, slightly stronger value, and now into the sky I'm going to just do a couple of cloud shapes. And again, I want to focus your attention towards the middle, so I'm going to just kind of neutralize So I've mixed a little hint of ultramarine to this and some of the brown matter that's sitting there to get a neutral blue. And over, I want that to be over here in the corner. And this I want to mix up a nice blue-violet. Just going to move this over a bit. Yeah, so a little ultramarine and dioxazine purple. I just really like this color. And I need it to be, I'm just going to check it here. Just have this piece of paper. I just want to check the value. Ooh, I think that's probably going to be a little bit strong. So I'll add some more water to it. Yeah, that's good. And because I think it's just a touch damp, I'm not going right to my pencil line because I want to allow it some room to flow. Come right down here. So by using the water I can go right over the foreground and it doesn't disturb things too much. Okay, come back in here. Yeah, I think that'll do. And now in this mountain, which is going to stay predominantly white, I don't want to leave it all to be actually white. So I'm going to take a wet brush here and bleed some of this mountain with just pure water, just running over the edge. Bleed a bit of it into this distant mountain. And now the white that's left here works much more effectively because I've taken away some. And into this, I'm going to take a little bit more blue-violet mix and just float a little bit in there. And that's looks like a fairly strong value, but it may... and I just think I want to emphasize this edge a little bit more. I think what I'll do is come in and go right back to my center of interest just to really let this dry. And now I need, this is where my darkest values are going to be. So I want to have, I'm going to start off with a strong ultramarine mix on these top windows. But into that, I don't want just to stay just ultramarine. I'm going to take a little bit of dioxazine and just drip some in. Yes. And down below, I'm going to change the mixture and go more to the dioxazine side. I'm just going to come down because this is kind of detail work. And brace my hand a little bit. And into this, I think I'll add a little bit of my brown matter. Yeah, I want to take this same mixture, but not quite as dark a value, and just add the shadow under the eaves trough. And also what I want to do, this is still very wet, I'm going to just take pure water because I want to integrate this into the overall structure. So by just touching it with pure water, it gives me a nice effect there. I want to do the same for this dividing section here. Okay, now I want to add the darks on this building. So I'm going to go with brown matter, dioxazine, and add a bit of this new gamboge to it. And come in here. Again, I'm bracing my hand because this is kind of detail work. And I'll bring just some of this over here to define that post. I'm going to start with a bit of a yellow wash, and again I want it to be the most interesting right here in the center. Now I just want to be careful not to touch those darks because they're just going to run into this. And I don't want to do that until they're a little bit drier. It's already doing it there, but we'll live with that. Okay, so there's my yellow, and into that I'm going to add a bit of phthalo blue and come right over and a little bit of ultramarine blue just right down at the bottom here. Okay, and I'm just, that's very wet, so I'm just going to kind of leave that for a minute. And this beach, I want to neutralize it as it gets towards the outside.